Okay, so I think we should be live. Yes, it's happening. Okay, welcome everybody to Medicare Cafe, going live for the first time on YouTube. So welcome.
Good
you have
morning.
your co-host here today. My name's Olivia Richardson.
And I'm Carrie Vogt.
So welcome to the inaugurational. Is that the word? What's another word for like the first? Other than first.
Yeah.
I want to have like a bottle of champagne to
inaugural?
Inaugural. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You just sounded more intelligent than me. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Medicare Cafe. First of all, we're going to go ahead
on YouTube Live.
On YouTube Live. That's a very important differentiation. So right now we're going to start with, I want this one. We're going to talk about some pre-chat stuff. We're going to try to keep the same format, going with Facebook Live, keeping this, just so you guys know as well, we'll have an opportunity for you guys to ask questions either by commenting on the Medicare Cafe, YouTube, whatever magical screen that you have. You also have the capability of using the text line. So that text number, we'll pull it up here in a second, but if you want to jump on and text us, it's 573-818-2688. That's the Medicare Cafe text line. Before we get started, though, Carrie and I were just kind of talking about, what's going on? I said, tell me what your last week has looked like. Yeah. You were telling me a little bit of a situation about a teacher who applied for Medicare A and B at the same time as Social Security.
Yes. And I was just saying I've never run into this before. Mm-hmm. And, I feel like they were told something from Social Security. And I think we all know it just depends on what person you get at Social Security of what's actually true.
You get 3 different answers.
But they were told, so they applied like beginning of March for a 4-1 start for both her Medicare and her Social Security benefits to start. And there was a delay. And so we kept calling last week and they were like, well, we can't get they were trying to just speed up make sure her Medicare was active 4-1 and like the retirements can be fallen into place, the benefits whenever. And they said because you applied together, now we can't separate them.
That's crazy.
And how we can't just activate your Medicare until it's all ready to go. Yeah. I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I never heard of that.
And I know anytime you get involved with like teachers, the teachers' benefits are always a little bit on the wonky side just because teachers for so long didn't pay into Social Security.
Right.
So like anytime I hear, they're a retired teacher, I am always just like, I
know.
It's just got a lot more complicated.
They could face the Part A premiums even. Like there's so much to think about. But I wish I would have known that because if I had known that they were applying that close, just 4 weeks away, I would have said, hey, apply for your Medicare first by itself and then do it. So if anybody has ever heard of that or run into that, please share because I feel like that would be something good to know.
Well, and like you said, like you don't know if the Social Security office is right. How many times have you run into somebody's like, Social Security told me to go ahead and take out Part B. And like, you have credible coverage. There was no need for that. You just wasted your open enrollment.
Yep.
So like just because Social Security says it
doesn't mean it's true.
Doesn't really mean anything, which is very frustrating.
It is.
So, again, guys, this has been the Medicare Cafe pre-chat. Really excited again for the inaugural episode of Medicare Cafe on YouTube Live. So that being said, we're going to go ahead. It's 10 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get started with today's topic. So if you guys subscribe to our YouTube page, hopefully you subscribe to the YouTube before we get started. Yeah. We need to get in the habit of being like, ring the bell or subscribe.
Subscribe.
Like, I don't know how to, are we influencers now? Is that what this is?
We're gonna be.
I don't know how to YouTube. I think it's very clear.
We need to figure that out.
We need to learn how to YouTube. We'll learn with you guys at the same time, but make sure you like or subscribe. Make sure you just turn on notifications so that you are alerted when Medicare Cafe does go live on Facebook. Today, we're going to be talking about top mistakes that agents make during their sales presentation. We spent a lot of time talking about how to get in front of clients, how to take advantage and get in front of potential networking partners. But once you actually get in front of somebody, what are some common sales mistakes that we make? And I want you to be very honest. I want you to tell me if you personally have made these mistakes.
I've got some examples ready.
So before we get started, guys, make sure, again, write it down. This is the Medicare Cafe text line. So if you don't want to comment publicly on Medicare Cafe because it's now all a public format, make sure you write down this number, put it in your phone. This is the text line for Medicare Cafe. So feel free to text the show as we go on to just any questions, comments, concerns, threats, or promises, and we will make sure to answer your questions as they come up. So please be patient, please be gentle. We're still learning this as well. Let's go ahead and get started. The first sales mistake that we see agents make, one of them is that the presentations itself are too long. And oftentimes we feel like the three top reasons why they're too long is because maybe they're being overeducated, unfamiliar with technology, or underprepared. What do you feel, Carrie, is like the number one thing?
If we're talking about an in-person meeting, I think it is overeducating on Medicare. I think you can get really tripped up, especially if you're new, because you don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to forget something important. And I think, in those early stages, I think it's hard to navigate what might be the most important things. And so just for instance, like if you're just talking about what Part A is, you could say it's hospitalization coverage. It's going to cover your hospice care, like that skilled nursing, skilled level of care. End it right there. You don't have to just keep going on and on and on and on about
the dollar amounts. That's something that a lot of agents, I feel like they need to know, because people will need to know how much you're going to spend. So they'll go into like Part A, days 0 through 21, it's free. Days 21 through blank, and they go in the dollar amounts. I'm like, your clients
that just went right.
They don't, and honestly, they're not going to pay for that because they're probably going to have a supplement or an advantage plan in place. And how many people actually make it to 21 days in the hospital before they go into a skilled nurse or skilled nursing before they do that? So I think I 100% agree. So what are the things, would you have 3 things that would help an agent not overeducate? What are the 3 points, in your opinion, that you need to hit with your clients?
3, man. I mean, I typically just try to keep it to the bare minimum. So when you're talking about the individual pieces of Medicare, the Part A and B, practice just saying that in I don't know, just a summary. Like I said, Part A is your hospitalization coverage. Sometimes, you can really just, end it there. Don't go into the nitty gritty. Your Part B is all other medical. I typically say, I try to keep in terms of them, of what they are going to relate to the most. Part B is what's going to kick in if you see your primary care physician, or if you need to see the dermatologist, or have an outpatient knee replacement.
Right.
You don't have to go into, and it covers durable medical equipment and blah, 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 all these.
Just the basics, just the top. How long would you say your education portion of your appointment is?
My spiel is probably 5 to 10 minutes. I try to keep it short. Now, obviously, they're going to throw questions
if there's questions, yeah.
But I wanted to say, because it's something that I feel like everybody, as far as sales mistakes, when I mentioned in person, I think the biggest mistake is overeducating. But if you are on Zoom or doing it electronically, it's being unfamiliar with the technology and underprepared to present with that software. Yeah. And I think that can be a huge mistake if you don't have your slides ready, if you don't have the pathways up, if you don't have, if you've got whatever that's distracting in the background. I don't know what it would be, but I think that can really make or break a sale if you're being virtual.
Unprofessional. You look very unprofessional if you don't have it together. And it looks like, oh, am I your first client that you've had? Are you inexperienced, unprofessional?
Right.
Can definitely give off that vibe.
And so many of us do virtual appointments now.
Right.
Right?
I mean, you have to. It's all about, I would say we don't have that on here, but another mistake that agents make is that they don't offer option,
that's a good
virtual or face-to-face. Right. They don't offer that option. I think we don't have it on here, but I think that's important to mention too. So another top sales mistake that a lot of agents are going to make, and we see this happen quite often, is what we call with agents that start with what, but they don't start with why. And I think a lot of agents, they go into well, I'm their advisor. I tell them what they need and we move on. And then they say, okay, so you need a Medicare Advantage or you need a Med Sup with a PDP. And that's the extent of the conversation. They then don't go into details about why a med set may be a better option for them or why a Medicare Advantage plan may fit their lifestyle better. And so a lot of people, whenever they do see these Joe Namath ads or they see these advertisements or they hear from their cousin's dog walker's Aunt Myrtle that they have this plan that they love, you didn't quite sell the person on why the plan you recommend is the best. So it's really easy to lose that client, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like my why is sometimes in my summary. Like I'll go over the pathways. Let's say I'm talking about the original Medicare route. I'll go over Part A and B and a MedSup, Part D, and then I'll say, why some people gravitate towards original Medicare over Medicare Advantage plan is because they like not being confined to a network. You know, that's the why if somebody might join that. Or maybe the why is they don't want to have to deal with referrals. Or the why of joining a Medicare Advantage plan is the low cost and the dental. I typically like to, I guess, summarize in a why form.
And I get that because, again, when we do talk about it, it's all about, again, you tell them it. I like it as a summary because it's the last thing that they leave with. It's the last thing. Like, I'm not going to remember. We talk about this a lot. Your clients are only going to remember 20% of your presentation. And I think it's also really important to know that they're not going to remember what you even said, but they will remember how you made them feel. So when you explain the why and you start with why, they're going to feel safe, they're going to feel confident, and they'll leave with that. And it's really difficult to steal a safe and confident client from an agent because they're not going to want to go into that uncertainty.
And a lot of times my whys can even be a client example.
Yeah,
because I think that really hits home. So like I'll say, one of my happiest clients has been on a Medicare supplement plan, and why he's so happy is he was helicoptered to a hospital in St. Louis and was hospitalized there for 3 months. He paid his $200 deductible, and that's it. That's why he is so happy.
Yeah. No, I
and
love
why
that.
Some people, I think personal examples can really help also.
I also think it's really important to note when we come to the ancillary stuff, cancer insurance, dental, vision, hearing, things like that. A lot of people, and actually I'm going to go ahead and transition the slide because I think a lot of people focus on the benefits of that plan, and by benefits I mean you get $200 if you go to the hospital. If you get cancer, you get $10,000 sent to you in a check. They talk about if you go and you have an emergency or an ambulance ride, you're gonna have $200 sent to your account. They talk about like what the benefits of that plans are, but they don't talk about they talk about the features of that plan. They don't talk about the benefits, and the benefits would be more or less just like. We always talk about your clients can relax knowing. So I'm saying like my clients can relax knowing, and this is actually something I learned from Dan Mangus, who is now the Vice President of Growth and Development at Senior Marketing Specialist. He always said like my clients can relax knowing that if you go into the hospital, my clients don't have to worry about paying for those copays. Yeah. My clients don't have to, if they get diagnosed with cancer, my clients don't have to worry about the cost of travel to and from the Mayo Clinic.
I love that phrase.
Yeah, so they
my
didn't have to
can relax
exactly. You didn't have to go into you get $200 per occurrence here. You get $150 per occurrence here. It was just like, why? The purpose of that plan. My clients can relax knowing they don't have to deal with these circumstances that other people do.
That's a good way of phrasing, like, I run into so many people who are spending their retirement years traveling, and just rephrasing that to, my clients that travel know that they can relax, knowing that no matter where they are traveling, their doctor's in network, because there is no network if they're on a MedSup.
And then, like we mentioned, your clients are going to remember maybe 20% of what you said. And it's really important. Again, that's why we rely so heavily on emotion. Because they don't remember what you said. They don't remember what you did, but they do remember how it made you feel. And so you need to make sure that throughout your appointment, I think that's a huge mistake agents make, is that they really rely on facts. They really rely on logic. And they do not even try to evoke emotion throughout the entire process.
And I think, like I said, I think client examples are just going to help hit those points home.
That's social proof.
And that's something that, just as you get, if you're new, you're not going to have, we had a new agent school just last week, and I was telling one of the new guys yesterday, I was like, here are some client examples I use, like use them, just because you don't have them yet, like, feel free to use mine.
Yeah. Oh, I would love it. We should do a show one time, just like client stories and like examples that people could use.
Yes. Yes.
So the next issue that we see a lot of agents making is that they don't ask for the close. And I know, Carrie, you've talked about that you do a soft close. Other agents, and again, I think there's nothing wrong with a soft close. There's nothing wrong with a hard close as long as you do it well enough, as long as you aren't like forceful and angry with your clients. But you just need to make sure that you ask at least for a close because your clients have no idea what the next step is.
Do you want to hear my mistake of where I lost a client
I want to
on
hear
this one? This was last fall. I met with somebody. She was turning 65, and I don't think she needed a start date until January 1. Mm-hmm. We had met, went over everything, and quotes. And we talked like carrier-specific stuff. Mm-hmm. She had made her decision, and we were just waiting for her card to be active. Mm-hmm. I went on maternity leave.
The nerve.
And
the nerve of taking time to raise your children.
She called me, and she'd called me once, and I didn't answer. Mm-hmm. I didn't get back to her until like a week, I guess, later. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I knew you were on maternity leave. I didn't want to bug you, so I just signed up. I used our notes, and I signed. She self-enrolled.
And she thought she was doing me a favor.
Oh. So that was my complete,
Which actually kind of leads us into our next point, and that's going to be the no follow-up.
Well, yeah, and that's what I told her. And I was like, Cindy, we just know this fall, like, mm-hmm. you don't have to do this on your own. Like, yeah. And so I made a point, like, I don't know, I think I probably put it in June to, like, call her and set up our AEP appointment.
Well, and that's so heartbreaking. I will tell you this. I hear that all the time from agents. And I'll tell you where I actually hear it. Not from the, like, she thought I was doing us a favor, but it's more or less just like, okay, I sat down. I had this entire appointment with this person. Mm-hmm. And we spent 2 hours going through an appointment not because the agent did it, because the client had so many questions. Looking at my teachers, my lawyers, and my doctors. If you have a client that's a teacher, a lawyer, or a doctor, they're asking you a million questions.
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
Those appointments are going 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's so accurate.
So they have this appointment, and then the next thing you know, like, the client's calling up. It's like, oh, no, the agent calls up the client like 3 weeks later, like, hey, I never heard back. Do you have any questions on this? And they're like, actually, like, I went ahead and self-enrolled. Like, you got me everything that I needed. I took care of it. I felt very confident. And they're like, man, okay, but, like, I don't make any money. Or there's like, no, you know what? After I got home, I actually got a telephone call from somebody who was there willing to enroll me. So I think, again, the fact of you don't ask for the close. I think mm-hmm. all it closes is telling the person what the next step is.
Yes.
The next step is enrollment. Do you want to? Yes or no?
Yeah. I think that's like today. Do you want to set up an appointment on mm-hmm. Friday or whatever it is to enroll? Absolutely.
Yes. Because if you don't tell them what that next step is, they have no idea. Right. And they get confused, and then they just go and do it on their own. They think like,
they're bugging you.
Exactly. Yeah. So making sure that, and again, just to reiterate, the follow-up, I think this is something that another major mistakes that a lot of agents are going to make is the fact that there is no follow-up to their program. I know this is something that Dan, again, I'm quoting him a lot today, but something that he mentioned is that you should never leave an appointment without a follow-up appointment made. Mm-hmm. I don't care if that follow-up appointment is in 2 weeks. I don't care if it's January and your follow-up appointment isn't until October. Mm-hmm. You never leave an appointment without the next appointment set. And I think that's true. Something that
I need to do better of that.
Yeah,
I really do.
And
it's so true.
So you how would you? Because I know how like we train people to like enter in like the follow-up appointment. Do you feel like that's an awkward ask to go ahead and set that next appointment for a client, or what would stop you from that?
I think it's just. We go back to the dentist, mm-hmm. the dentist example. Mm-hmm. Like, if you've made that close, most likely that next appointment is going to be during AEP.
Sure.
And I guess I just think, that's far away. Mm-hmm. And I shouldn't. Mm-hmm. That's a full mistake on me. Like, your dentist knows you're scheduling 6 months out, mm-hmm. and they do it every mm-hmm. single time before you leave that office. I need to do better at that.
Need to do better. I think for us, it's just kind of like putting it into the appointment process and knowing like at the end of the appointment, while I give them their folder, whatever they leave that appointment mm-hmm. with, while I do that, I need to make sure I incorporate the question.
Right.
So, we're meeting today at Tuesday at 10. would Tuesday's typically a good time for you? Okay, let's pull up my schedule. Let's pull up my calendar. Let's do Tuesday, October 18th at 10 a.m. Let's go ahead and put that on the calendar. And then you have your admin staff or your team or whatever you do, 2 weeks in advance, send them an update, like reminder, you have an appointment at this time. Now, a lot of them are probably going to reschedule, but they're not canceling. Still, they're rescheduling.
All right, I'm verbalizing a goal.
Okay,
right now.
Here it goes. We have it.
Over the next month, every client I meet with, I'm going to set that appointment up.
It is Tuesday the 29th.
Okay.
So on a Tuesday,
hold me to it.
Whatever is closest to the 29th of April 29th, we're going to bring this up in discussion. I want to hear how that goes for you.
I'm going to do it.
Because I really do think it is like a huge game changer.
Well, and just think about like how much easier it is when you're preparing for AEP.
Right. Yeah, to not have to worry about
why am I just like having this realization right now?
You don't have to set appointments. Like a lot of agents are like going into AEP just trying to get their appointments set and trying to book everybody down, trying to get the schedule out. If you set their AEP appointment during their appointment you're at, then by the time October 1st hits, you're just going along with your schedule. You don't have to frantically set appointments at that time.
Man. Dan, he knows some stuff.
He knows some. Every once in a while, he comes up with a pretty awesome gem. So, awesome, guys. So that is actually what we have for today's conversation, talking about top mistakes that agents make in their sales process. Again, reminder, if you do want to submit us a question via text message, our texting line, we'll put that back on the screen. Let me get it over there. Put that texting line back on the screen.
And give us some feedback how you liked YouTube Live.
Yes, I know we have
Does this make it more user-friendly if they're on a cell phone?
I think so. Bethy, of course, she says, we're the #1 Medicare podcast in the world. Yeah.
Yay. We're Medicare famous.
We are. That's the saddest
when
kind
I was
of famous,
say,
but
when
still.
we were first talking about me joining the podcast, you were like, you're going to become a sad type of famous. And that's Medicare famous.
And I stand by that.
I
stand by sad famous. And then Brian is confused because we did switch sides, which we had to. And I'll tell you why. Because of this little doohickey here. I'm driving the bus as far as these transitions and things go. And it's just a disservice. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm confused.
Did wonderful.
I feel nauseous about it.
You did
But again, guys, here is our texting line. Looks like we do have some text messages. Awesome. Just basically some comments. And again, I did get some comments about our audio, and I think I made some fixes. So if you did have an issue with some audio, let us know. I'm sorry. We're learning. But we certainly appreciate that. And we actually got done like super early. It's only 10:20.
Wow. Oh,
so we got a lot of
have a clock here.
I don't know. It's I want to take here. I'm going to show you guys this. I'm going to take a picture of what I'm looking at so you guys can just have some sympathy. I'll post it on our Facebook page so you guys can see exactly what I'm looking at because I
don't know how she does it.
I'm very confused as to what I'm looking at. Okay. And again, I got some say, great job. The audio is fine. So also when you're texting me, it doesn't tell me who you are. So if you want me to know who you are, put your name in there. Somebody says, is this the Medicare Cafe? Why, yes. Yes, it is the Medicare Cafe. That's us. Thanks to our beautiful magnet here and in our Medicare Cafe YouTube page. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for playing along. Again, making sure that you guys, somebody says it's working. What is the best? Ooh, here we go. Have a question here. What is the best way to handle an appointment when the person has not received a Medicare number yet, but needs the coverage to start the following month?
Are you familiar with, so if they've applied, they just don't have their number yet?
Yes, it's the appointment when the person has not received a Medicare number yet. So I imagine they've applied, but we all know, like, Social Security hasn't caught up since COVID. Like, it's still taking months, weeks, if not months, for things to process. So you applied for A and B. Maybe you just haven't gotten your number yet. It's no longer the Social Security number with the A at the end of it.
Right.
So, and then especially for electronic applications, most electronic applications require that you have a Medicare number to put in.
Right.
So I'll tell you what I advise, but I'd like to hear what you do. Awesome. And thank you. Good morning, Arnie. So what I always advise is like at that point is to actually do a paper application, because the e-applications will not let you submit the app if anything is missing.
Right.
And I always out there, if I can't get the Medicare number, and basically I always recommend that you call Social Security, do whatever you can, try to fight every battle trying to get that Medicare number by calling Social Security. If I can't, whatever reason, nobody is playing ball with me, I can't do it. On the application, I pick a paper one and I put pending in the Medicare line. The application will not process, but it will pend.
So they'll honor the
and they will honor all the dates, all the signature dates and everything. But keep in mind, signature dates in most states are only good for 30 days. So if you think it's going to take longer than 30 days, then that may not be your best option, because the signature is only good per the Department of Insurance for those 30 days, but again, or 60 days. But at least I try to get the application in so that it pens until we can get our name on the Medicare number.
Love it.
Is that kind of like something that you do?
So if we've applied 3 months out or 2 months out, I always give myself a 4-week grace period. I always say, okay, if you haven't heard from them, they need a 4-1 start. If you haven't received your Medicare card or logged into your Social Security account and seen it's processed, call Social Security and ask them what's going on, make sure they've received it, and stay on them over the next month. I give them 4 weeks. If somebody, we know they've applied and they haven't logged back in, or we know it's pending, if you aren't familiar with using the United Healthcare eligibility lookup, sometimes I swear it's like United Healthcare has their Medicare number before Social Security.
That's wild. So like going on to Jarvis and doing the Medicare lookup, it'll
Jarvis,
tell you a lot of times?
Yes. I can't tell you how many
times.
That's a hot take. That has helped me.
Wow.
Now, obviously, I know Social Security has to have it before United Healthcare, but it almost...
But again, like Social Security could have it, but you're just not talking to a person who knows what they're doing.
Right,
which is probably the case more times than not. I'm sorry, another hot take.
Yeah, because they have to log in and search for their verification of benefit verification letter and then find the number on that letter. If you just go to Jarvis, it's right there. And I think you have to know their social, their A and B date, and their date of birth, I think, is all you have to know.
Very interesting.
That's a great tool.
Yeah. Okay, so go to Jarvis, because sometimes UHG knows what they're doing more than anyone else.
And then worst case scenario, we do the paper app and do the pending.
Yeah.
If it's still not there. But I know our staff does not like that.
That's fair. So remember, guys, here is the text line. Make sure you're texting us your questions. Unless you want to go ahead and comment them on the YouTube page, you are more than welcome to. They're just noted that those comments are going to be public. Linda, good morning, Linda. She says, do you have to resubmit that paper application once the 60 days have gone by, or will the carrier give you a notice before pulling it? Honestly, it differs by carrier. Unfortunately, carriers aren't the best at notifying agents when something is pending. If you're not, again, I always recommend being really familiar with the carrier portals, because that's how they communicate with you. You very rarely get an email. Very rarely, you will not get a call from a carrier saying like something's pending. So you do have to check their portals. After those 60 days have gone by, every blue moon, I have seen our team in particular be able to reverse the decision. But once there's a decision made on an application, whether that application is denied, or once that application, basically just denied, once a decision is made on that, it's almost impossible to reopen that application.
Right, you got to have a new application.
So more times than not, you do have to submit a brand new application in those situations, but they will pend it for that 60 days in most states. But in most states, the Department of Insurance will recognize a signature for 60 days. And thank you, Lisa. She said the audio is fine and that we did a good job.
Yay!
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys. So if there are any other questions, comments, concerns, threats, or promises, please let us know. Shoot us a text or comment here. You can also make sure that you do join our Facebook page as well. We'll post the recorded episodes on here. Like and subscribe to our YouTube page so you get notified when we upload new content and when we go live, which will be every Tuesday at 10 a.m. moving forward. So any final thoughts, final words? It sounds so morbid.
No.
Anything else? I'll just say anything else you want to say.
Thanks for just joining us, guys, and like and subscribe the YouTube page, and we'll figure out how to ring the bell about. We'll be better millennials by next week. Maybe.
How to be an influencer. Maybe. I'm gonna try real hard, but I'm bad at it, and I can admit that. But we're gonna get better.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, guys. So until next time, have fun.
Make money. Sorry.
Again. Have fun.
Make money.
And give impeccable service. Nailed it. Yes. Thanks, guys.